So Obi-Wan's over, and yeah, I don't know. It was Star Wars. You guys may remember in my last video, I said that Star Wars fatigue has kind of set in for me, and I think that this show definitely solidified that. Because I really wasn't rushing to watch the last episode, and I wasn't rushing to talk about it here in a video. I've stated many times before that I really just want Star Wars to do something different, and this is definitely not the show for that. So yeah, I really wasn't looking forward to this show, but at the same time, I was willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. And overall, I think my feelings on this show are pretty complex, because on one hand, I recognize that yeah, it's supposed to just be a turn your brain off type of show. But on the other hand, I kind of don't want it to be, even though I've said before that I do not want a TV show about Obi-Wan Kenobi. I still admit that there were a lot of things that I liked in this show, but there wasn't anything that I liked enough to change my original opinion. I think one issue is that this show isn't very good if you overhype it. The show is kind of cheap looking when compared to other productions. The sets are like really low budget, and overall the show doesn't really look very good. There are some exceptions, but as a whole, I was not blown away by the presentation. But worst of all, I think the script is kind of awful. It's very generic and predictable, and a lot of the things the characters did just left me confused. Some things feel very sloppy. The second to last episode had me scratching my head quite a few times. And honestly, I think out of all of the Star Wars Disney shows, this needed to be the one that you really put everything into. I know a ton of people that don't watch the other Star Wars shows, and they still watched this. And if that was me, I would walk away from this series thinking that these shows probably aren't worth my time, which isn't really fair because Season 1 of Mandalorian is legitimately a better show than this. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but that Cassian Andor show actually looks better than Obi-Wan. Just from like a production level alone, it looks like more money went into it, which is very weird. But like I said, a lot of things in this show did work for me. Exploring the emotional aspect of Anakin and Obi-Wan's relationship is perfect, because in episode 3, the melodrama kind of overpowers any of the emotion you might feel. And plus, we never really saw their friendship enough to care. But here, a lot of focus is put on Obi-Wan's guilt and Anakin's spiteful nature. Darth Vader's actually a pretty strong character in this story, and I think that's pretty cool. He's normally more of a force of nature than a real character, and I like that we get to see a little bit more of how he's feeling, even if it's just through his actions. And in this series, you can see how Obi-Wan and Anakin are both people that just kinda hate themselves. They just express it in different ways. And all of this is very compelling, but it only shines through every once in a while. I found myself enjoying the moments where Obi-Wan is just talking to someone about how he feels, because he never got to do that in his trilogy. These are the best moments in the show, but they don't happen all that often because we have a very contrived narrative that needs to justify this show's existence. And the thing is, this show can't justify its existence. It's impossible. Because at the end of the day, Revenge of the Sith ended with no loose ends whatsoever. Everything ends in a way that just makes way for the next movie. There is no ambiguity. We know what Obi-Wan was doing. And in order to preserve our precious continuity, we still have to end the series in a way that does not surprise anybody. In A New Hope, Vader still said that Obi-Wan beat him in their last fight, so you kinda know what has to happen here. It feels like they wrote the concept of the last episode and then they made a story around that finale. Because the last episode does feel like the most fleshed out. It feels the most well-defined. And a lot of people say that it's the best episode, and I think I agree. But the way they get to this point is still just kind of messy. Like, imagine if I had to pitch the show to you and I said this. Alright guys, so Obi-Wan is down on his luck, and he needs to get his groove back. This is the story about how he picks himself up to confront Darth Vader once again. And along the way, he gets a little bit of help from baby Princess Leia. You'd probably cut me off right there. And I admit, yes, baby Princess Leia isn't the worst thing about this show. You think it would be, but a lot of the time she does actually work. In the first episode, I was really worried when I saw that she was going to be a big part of this story, especially after this CW level chase scene in the forest. This is legitimately one of the dumbest scenes in Star Wars. There's really no defending this. But by episode 2, I thought she was a decent character that fits the conflict of the early story. Episode 2 does a good job of selling her to the audience, and I think episode 3 also is pretty decent since we get a lot of moments for her and Obi-Wan to talk and flesh out his mental state. But then, after a few more episodes, I realized that she's not going anywhere. She's one of the main characters. She's here for the whole show. And I don't know, I kind of just expected her to, leave at some point. I really didn't think this show would just be an escort mission for Obi-Wan to get baby Princess Leia back home. I think I just assumed that maybe her dad would arrange for her to get picked up a little earlier. You'd think the fucking Grand Poobah of Alderaan would be able to get a ride for his kidnapped princess. All I'm saying is that she definitely overstays her welcome, and I just wish the story was about more than this. Because this is the story of the show, and a lot of the time it overshadows the stuff that is actually interesting. And I think a lot of my problem is that I'm seeing a pattern with Star Wars. We have a show about a dangerous guy who learns how to take care of a child, and another show about a group of misfits who learn how to take care of a child, and another show about how an old loser learns how to take care of a child. And hell, even the fucking Boba Fett show has similar themes of learning how to take care of people other than yourself. They keep making the same show. Is it just me? Am I just being a hater? People ask why I didn't finish Bad Batch, and it's because I've already seen this story a million times. I think I'm just bored. I want something new. I want something different, but instead I get another Star Wars show where the main character has to learn how to care about someone else. Oh, and to top it off, I get another boring and predictable dark side redemption arc. Gee, Star Wars, you shouldn't have. I'm just starting to think that Star Wars is relying on callbacks and fan service over making something truly compelling and unique. Season 1 of The Mandalorian was successful because it had nothing to do with other Star Wars characters. It was a fresh and unique story. And they don't realize that that's why it was successful. They immediately took it and decided, you know what this show needs? Luke Skywalker. So yeah, maybe this show was just not made for me, because seeing elderly Anakin pretend to be a teenager just doesn't excite me. I get nothing out of this. This is not the kind of fan service that I enjoy. You know what I enjoy? I like seeing Darth Vader and Obi-Wan having a genuine conversation and actually getting bittersweet closure with one another. That's the best scene in the entire show, and it just works better than anything else. And that's why everything's so disappointing, because at the end of the day, this didn't need to be a 6-episode miniseries. The last episode's really the only one that I fully enjoyed. In an alternate timeline, this was just a fun little Star Wars spin-off movie, and it was more focused, and it got more love and care put into the narrative. As it stands, it feels like a decent movie concept that got stretched out into a TV show for no reason. Because the best thing about this show is that you can tell that Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor like playing these characters. And after seeing so many actors become disillusioned by Star Wars and grow to resent it over the years, it's nice to see people who are like, yeah, maybe some people didn't like our movies, but we had fun and we gave it our all, and we'd love to do it again. Because that passion does show. It's fun to see these guys come back and do a pretty good job. I like that Hayden's Vader does feel different. It's just a different guy in a full-body suit, but he's doing it his way. I love that McGregor gets to have real moments of genuine strong emotion instead of the dry toast they gave him in the other movies. So yeah, this show is a fun, temporary distraction, but I don't think it had to be. I think it could have been a lot more. There are a lot of Star Wars fans that are sick of cameos and callbacks and references, and they just want to see something new. And this show is not going to change their minds. So yeah, overall I'd say it's not the worst thing ever. I think I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10. And yeah, that's not very bad, but it's not that great either. And I really wanted it to be better.